Whoosh. Hi. All right, go ahead and get yourself into a comfortable seat, whatever that means to you. You want to cross your legs, you can place one in front of the other. Just go ahead and you can close your eyes or you can lower your gaze and just look inward here. You can do a quick body scan. You want to start at the tips of your toes, work your way along your feet, up your legs, body out your arms, over your head and neck and shoulders, and just see if there's anything there that's feeling a little bit more sore or stuck. Any place you want to focus on or work on tonight. While you're here, you can start to pay attention to your breath. No need to change it or judge it. Just pay attention to what it's doing. Check in with the shape your body's in. Can you imagine a invisible line pulling you up from the top of the head? Pressing your ribs back if they've popped out. Releasing your shoulders down the back. Maybe the palms of your hands are gently pressing on the knees. Go ahead and bring that awareness back to the breath. And this time, take a full inhale so your ribs expand. You can feel it down in your diaphragm. And when you reach that tippy top, take a little sip in more. And then exhale everything down. And go ahead and breathe at your own pace. Feel that chest opening up. Feel those ribs pressing out. Feel your back body expanding as the entirety of your lungs fill up. While you continue to fill and empty your lungs, can you feel rooted down in your legs? You feel your sit bones ground down into the mat as your hips and back lift out of your, say, hip sockets and stretch up into the air. These deep, full breaths. Can you imagine the oxygen entering into your nostrils as a bright light, or maybe a positive energy, or anything that feels nice for you? As you continue to fill up your lungs, can you imagine everything you empty out of your lungs? Be everything that is no longer serving you. Anything you're done with. Be a pattern or a thought or a feeling or a person or a thing. Inhaling that beautiful white light, filling up the lungs. Exhaling everything negative out of your body. When you're ready, you can raise your gaze or open your eyes. You can start just by shrugging your shoulders up to your ears and then sighing them back down, melting your shoulders down. Feeling that space in between your shoulder blades. Bring your shoulder blades together so you're trying to squeeze a piece of paper in between them. And then release the shoulder blades out, almost like you're trying to give yourself a hug. And focus in on those ribs. If they're sticking out, go ahead and tuck them back. And ground that sacrum deep into the mat, grounding those sit bones down. From here, we're going to stretch the arms into the air. Looking at all those spaces we just checked in on, the shoulders, make sure they're, go ahead, make sure they're not scrunching up in the ears. You can release them down the back. Checking in with those ribs, popping them back in if they're popping out. Checking with this arm, is it in line with your shoulder? You can give it a hand if it needs to be. Reaching into the sky. I'm going to take one hand over to the side, stretching your arm over top. We're going to bring this shoulder to your knee, so go ahead and sigh forward for 1. Inhaling back up for 2. Sighing forward for 3. Inhale, sighing up for 2, sorry. And one more time, down and back up. From here, you can windmill your hand down to the other side and bring your other hand back up into the air, reaching that hand over top, thumb behind you. Feeling those ribs, reaching to the side. We're going to bring the shoulder to the knee. So on your next exhale, fold forward. Inhale back up. Exhale to fold forward. Inhale back up. Exhale to fold forward. Inhale back up. On your next inhale, go ahead and come back to the center. We'll go ahead and fold forward. Just gently, you can keep your back nice and straight here. When you're ready, you can go ahead and fold forward and then walk your fingertips back so you're back in a seated position. We'll gently bring the hands behind you, thumbs facing forward, and press, all right, shoulders in the air. Press the chest towards the ceiling. Take a nice big inhale here. Those fingertips can reach towards the back of the room. Your ribs can feel nice and popped out here if you'd like. That gives you a little bit more space. Now you can tuck them back in. Really feel that stretch in your chest. Take a nice deep breath here. And a nice exhale. We will go ahead and take the legs out front, give them a little shake. We'll take one leg over top the knee, place the foot down on the outer edge of the thigh. Hold that leg in nice and tight to your chest. Readjust your foot any way you need to. When you're ready, you can hook the opposite arm on the knee and twist to the back of the room. Inhaling nice long inhales here. Exhaling to twist in the back of the room. If you can feel your outer hip opening here. Maybe you can feel a nice twist in your spine. And when you're ready, we'll do a nice little counter twist to the other side. And then we'll go ahead and switch the crossing of the legs, holding this leg into your chest nice and tight. Go ahead and hook the opposite elbow behind the knee and twist to the back of the knee. Excuse me. Inhaling nice and deeply. Exhaling, twisting to the back of the room. Feeling an opening in your outer hip, or maybe a nice twisting in your spine. And you can exhale, come to the center. You can do a nice little counter twist to the opposite side. Then we'll bring the legs back into crossing them, but opposite of what they were before. You can bring your arms straight out to the sides. Hands can be, pushing the walls out to the sides. If this is not comfortable for you, you can make fists. We'll just start by gently rotating the arms in and out of that shoulder socket. If this is an intense stretch for you, bending those fingers can really help here. This is a helpful exercise to prepare you for downward facing dog. From here, we're going to take one arm over in front. We'll stretch behind the elbow. Make sure that shoulder is not eating at your ear. We'll just gently press the arm across the chest. And when you add enough of that, stretch that arm up. We'll bend that elbow. Reach your hand down the small of your back. Tuck those ribs back in. You can gently hold your hand on top of your elbow. We can do a bind and reach for that hand from the opposite side. You can reach for your hand or your t-shirt or a block. When you're ready, you can release that arm back down. Give your arms a little shake, and we'll move the opposite arm out front. Stretch out in front of you. Make sure you're behind the elbow. And when you're ready, you can move that arm up, press that shoulder back. You can hold your hand on top of your elbow. You can tuck those ribs back in, or you can go into your bind. Try to reach for your t-shirt or bra strap or hand from behind you. And release your hands down. We're going to do a couple of bicep curls. So come on out to the side and come back in. Make sure your biceps are nice and strong. And then when you're ready to come into about a right angle, we're going to drop one arm down and then bring the other back up. See if you can make a nice tense muscle every time you come to your right angles. This makes the outer edges of my arms burn. And when you've had enough of that, give your arms a little shake back and forth. And we will meet in tabletop on the mat. When you're ready to come into a tabletop pose, wrists are underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips, tops of the feet are glued to the mat. Can you press the ground away from you and feel yourself coming out of your shoulder girdle? Concentrate on that space between the two shoulder blades. If I were to sink down and let those shoulder blades touch, like I'm trying to hold a piece of paper, I can also push those shoulder blades away from me. So imagine you're away from each other. Imagine you're pushing those shoulder blades away from each other, pressing the mat away, and we're going to start by lifting one leg into the air. You can place a block or a ball or nothing underneath your knee to make sure you have a nice right angle. And I said a right angle. You can breathe here for a few seconds. And then we'll drop the leg down and inhale back up for 2. Dropping the leg down, inhaling up for 3. Dropping the leg down, inhaling up for 4. Dropping the leg down, inhaling up for 5. Staying here, bouncing for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release that leg down, keeping that block or ball or nothing in place behind your leg. We'll do fire hydrants, lifting the leg out to the side. And then back down for 1, inhaling for 2. Back down, inhaling for 3. Exhaling down, inhaling for 4. Exhaling down, inhaling for 5. Staying there and then bouncing for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bringing your leg back down. Straighten that leg back behind you. You can drop whatever accessory you may have. You can bring those, curl those toes under if you want to do a little stretch here. Bring that back of that calf to a nice stretch. And then we're gonna lift the leg into the air so it just hovers about an inch. Then on your next inhale, we'll lift the leg up in the air and then exhale back down to that hovering spot. Inhaling up and exhaling down, inhaling up and exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling down. We'll inhale up one more time and then bounce for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Place the leg where it was before. Get out your block or ball or book or nothing. And then place it behind the opposite leg. Flex that foot. Give yourself a nice right angle on the back of the leg, and then we'll lift it 90 degrees. Excuse me. And then exhale back down. Lifting for 2. Exhaling down. Lifting for 3. Exhaling down. Lifting for 4. Exhaling down. Lifting for 5. Then we'll bounce for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale back down. Take a nice deep breath here. We'll do fire hydrants on the other side, lifting the leg out. Fine. Exhaling down, lifting the leg out. Exhaling down, lifting the leg out. Exhaling down, lifting your leg out. Exhaling down, Lifting your leg up, pause here, and then bounce for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Exhaling back down. And stretch your leg out, remove any prop you may have. You can tuck your toes under and give your calf a little stretch here. Then we'll hover that leg behind. And we'll lift into the air. Exhale back down to your hover point. Lift your leg into the air. Exhale back down. Lifting up, exhaling down, lifting up, exhaling down, lifting up, exhaling down. Lift that leg up one more time. Bounce for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling your leg back to the mat. From here, check back in with your hands. Can you press against the mat here? Can you move those shoulder blades away from each other? Can you feel the tops of the feet pressing into the mat? From here, we'll drop those udders down, shine that chest forward, maybe pull through your arms a bit. And take a few breaths in your cow pose. Your next exhale, you can round in the back. You can tuck those toes under and come up on tented fingers if you'd like, and spend a few breaths in cat pose. So when you're ready, you can come back into your cow pose and press back to cat. And continuing at your own pace, your own breath, under a few rounds of cat-cow. Just to warm up the spine, you can introduce S and C curves if you'd like. You can come down to a baby chaturanga. You can use your spine like a jump rope. Whatever makes you feel nice. When you're ready, we'll come back to a nice neutral spine. Do a couple of tucks and tilts with your tailbone. And when you're ready, we'll tuck those toes under. Tilt that tailbone under. Press back into downward facing dog. Then pedal out your feet here in down dog. Give the back of your calves a nice stretch. And when you're ready, you can lift your calves very high, lift your heels very high into the air and then exhale them back down to the mat as close as possible. Can you go back to that space in between your shoulder blades? Can you feel what it's like when the shoulder blades touch and what it feels like when you're trying to move them away from each other? Just get it. On your next exhale, go ahead and roll forward to a plank. Adjust your stance any way you feel necessary. Press the ground away from you. Take a few deep breaths in plank pose. And when you're ready, you can press back to downward facing dog. From here, we'll lift the right leg into the air, three-legged dog. exhale, you can open up your hips here, drop that leg back, and come into a rock star pose by lifting that right leg, or right arm into the air. Just take a few breaths here. And on your next exhale, you can sweep that leg back, come back into downward facing dog. This time we'll lift the same leg, but keep the knee bent. And we're gonna, on your next exhale, we're gonna roll forward to plank and just touch that knee to the elbow. And then press back into your three-legged dog. And then come back down into your downward facing dog. Nice deep breath in down dog. Your next exhale, let's lift the left leg into the air, three-legged dog. Bring that right heel back down to the mat. You can open up the hips here. You can drop that leg back behind you and lift your left arm for rock star pose. Take a few breaths here, opening into anywhere you feel nice. On your next exhale, we'll come back down into a downward facing dog. Inhaling that left leg up again, this time exhaling to roll forward to plank, touching that knee to the elbow. Reaching back to three-legged dog and exhaling back to down dog. Rolling forward to plank one more time, pressing that mat away from you, feeling those shoulder blades inching away from each other. And when you're ready, you can press back to down dog and gently step forward. So you're in a forward fold at the front of the mat. Check that your feet are about hips width distance apart. 2 fists in between the door. From here, check in with the bottom of your feet. You feel all 4 corners of both of your feet pressing into the mat. You can sway side to side here to really feel it. If you have high arches like me, make sure you're not falling into your arches. Maybe you're lifting up in the center of the feet. You lift your toes off the mat. Spread your toes as far as you can apart, and then press them back down on the mat. You imagine the top of your head as being pulled down toward the mat. And here, place your hands on your shins. Take a nice big inhale. And bring your spine forward for a nice, long, flat back. Take a nice deep breath here. And on your next exhale, imagine there is a clothesline at your belly, and you are just folding over that clothesline, draping both halves of your body over top. And sway back and forth in this forward fold if you'd like. Sure, and if you nod your head yes, and shake your head no, you can move your head I don't know. You're not holding any tension in your jaws or in your glutes. When you're ready, we're going to gently roll up. So we're in a standing pose at the front of the mat. I'm going to have a drink of water. All right. Standing in mountain pose at the front of the mat. Feet are hips width distance apart or wider. Feel all four corners of the feet here. If you kind of make a square with your hips. Go in both directions here. Let's start with just lifting the arms in the air for Urdhva Hastasana. Checking over that shoulder, melting those shoulders down the back, expanding those shoulder blades apart. Filling that chest with a nice big inhale. And folding forward. Placing your hands on your shins, nice long flat back. Exhale to fold forward. Plant your hands and step back to a plank pose. From your plank pose, you can run through your vinyasa, or you can lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhale for a low cobra or an upward facing dog, and press back to down dog. Breathing in down dog. On your next exhale, you can hop or step forward to a forward fold at the front of the mat. On your next inhale, you can gently roll up to stand. Placing each vertebrae on top of the previous until you're in mountain pose at the front of the mat. That is it. All right. 4 more like that. Standing in mountain pose at the front of the mat. Lift the arms in the air for Urdhva Hastasana. Move those shoulders down. Create space between those shoulder blades. On your next exhale, fold forward. Let all the air out of the lungs. Inhale, hands on shins, nice long flat back. Exhale, plant your hands, step back to plank pose. Go through your vinyasa or lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhaling for a low cobra or upward facing dog, and pressing back to a down dog. Breathing in down dog. On your next exhale, you can hop or step forward to a forward fold at the front of the mat. On your next inhale, you can gently roll up to stand, placing each vertebrae on top of the previous. On your next inhale, lift your arms above your head. Exhale to fold forward. Inhale, hands on shins, nice long flat back. Exhale all the air out of your lungs as you fold forward. Plant your hands and step back to that plank pose. Go through your vinyasa or lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhaling for a low cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, pressing back to down dog. You feel the space in between your shoulder blades here. On your next exhale, you can hop or step forward. So you're in a forward fold at the front of the mat. Inhaling all the way up to stand, placing each vertebrae on top of the previous. And standing in mountain pose at the front of the mat. On your next inhale, lift those arms above your head for Urdhva Hastasana. From here, check in with those ribs. Are they poking out? Pop them back in. Check in with those shoulder blades. Can you make space between them? Taking a nice big inhale here. Exhale to empty out the lungs. And fold forward. Inhale, hands on shins, nice long flat back. Exhaling, folding forward, planting the hands, step back to a plank pose. Go ahead and go through your vinyasa or lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhaling for a low cobra or upward facing dog. And pressing back to a down dog. Breathing in downward facing dog. On your next exhale, you can hop or step forwards or a forward fold at the front of the neck. On your next inhale, we're going to gently roll up to stand, placing each vertebrae on top of the previous one. On your next inhale, we'll lift the arms above the head for Urdhva Hastasana. Exhaling to fold forward, empty out the lungs. Inhale, hands on shins, nice long flat back. Exhaling to fold forward, placing your hands on the mat, stepping back to a plank pose, running through your vinyasa or lowering your knees, chest and chin to the mat, inhaling for a low cobra. When you're ready to press back into a downward facing dog. On your next exhale, you can hop or step forward to your forward fold at the front of the mat. From here, we'll gently roll up to stand, placing each vertebrae on top of the previous one. All right, standing in mountain pose at the front of your mat. Take a moment to check in with your feet. Make sure they're hips width distance. Take a moment to check in with your knees. Make sure you're not hyperextending them. There's a gentle bend. Checking in with your hips. Go ahead and tuck and tilt them a few times back and forth. And give yourself a nice little hip shake from side to side. Checking in with your spine, nice and long. Checking in with those shoulders above the hips. Arms released to either side. From here, we're going to lift the arms above the head for Urdhva Hastasana. We're going to keep the hips exactly where they are, but we're going to twist the upper half of the body to the right. Pretend like you're holding a ball between your hands. Then on your exhale, we'll come back to center. Inhaling here. Then on your next exhale, we'll just twist to the other side. Exhaling back to center, reaching those arms into the air, moving those shoulder blades apart, folding forward. Plant your hands, we'll step back to plank pose. You can run through your vinyasa or lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat, inhaling for a low cobra or upward facing dog, and pressing back to a down dog. Breathing in downward facing dog. We're going to lift the right leg into the air for three-legged dog. Exhale to bend the knee. Bring that foot forward, tilt it if you need to. So you're in a nice, sturdy, low lunge. Front knee is at a 90-degree angle. We're going to rotate that back. No, we're not. We're going to leave that back foot where it is. Bring that knee down. Glue the top of that back foot onto the mat. Press your feet and your shin, your foot and your shin into the ground here. And lift the chest into the air. You can bring your arms up above you. If you like to gaze at the thumb for a gentle back bend, you might feel a nice stretch in the front of this bent leg here. Exhale to go ahead and frame that front foot. We're going to tuck that back toe under. Take that foot forward a little bit so that both heels are on the mat. And then reach that forehead towards that front shin. On your next exhale, you can kick both feet back to your plank pose, running through your vinyasa or lowering your knees. Chest and chin to the mat, inhaling for a low cobra or upward facing dog. And when you're ready, you can press back to a down dog. On your next inhale, we'll lift the left leg into the air, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend your knees, swing your foot forward. Help it if you need to. We're going to drop that back knee down, glue that top of the foot to the mat, pressing both feet and your shin into the ground. Lift your chest into the air. Raise your arms to gaze at your thumbs for a gentle back bend. You may feel a nice stretch in the front of this bent leg here. Right leg. Exhaling to frame that front foot. Tuck those back toes under, kick that back foot up so that both heels are on the mat. Breathing here, pulling your forehead towards your left shin. You can hook your left thumb against your left hip and just pull your left hip back in space a bit. Give yourself a little bit more space to stretch here. On your next exhale, you can kick both feet back so you are back in your plank pose. Lower your vinyasa or lower your knees. Chest and chin to the mat. Inhale for a low cobra or an upward facing dog. And pressing back to down dog. Breathing in down dog. And your next exhale, you can hop or step forward. So you're going to forward fold at the front of the mat. From here, you'll gently roll up to stand. You're standing in a mountain pose at the front of the mat. Okay. Build on that. On your next inhale, lift the arms in the air for Urdhva Sthasana. This time we're going to come into a chair pose. If you'd like to heel toe your feet together, you're more than welcome. If you'd like to keep them apart, you can. We're going to bend the knees here. Keep that tailbone tucked under like you're about to sit back into a chair. And lift your arms into the air. On your next exhale, you can fold forward, plant your hands and step back to plank pose. Run through your vinyasa or lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat, inhaling for a low cobra or upward facing dog, then pressing back to down dog. Taking a nice big inhale and downward facing dog, we're going to lift that right leg into the air for three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knees, swing that foot forward, help it if you need to. You're going to rotate that back heel down. And we're going to bring the arms up into warrior one. Nice right angle in that front leg. Back outer edge of that foot is glued to the mat. Try not to hyperextend my knee here. Lifting the arms into the air. On your next exhale, you can bring those hands behind you, interlace your fingers, and bring your shoulder down to your knee. Pressing back to warrior one. And then framing that front foot, kicking that front foot back to meet the back, downward facing dog. Rolling forward to plank position with your vinyasa. Or lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhaling for a low cobra, upward facing dog. And pressing back to a down. On your next exhale, lift that left leg into the air, three-legged dog. Inhale that leg nice and high, and then exhale to round that foot forward. Help it if you need to. From here, we're going to rotate that back heel down. Make any adjustments you may need to get this front knee into a right angle. Press your chest up and away from your arm. And then lift the arms into the air for warrior one. On your next exhale, you can interlace your hands behind your back, weight them on top this time. Shine that chest forward and then bring that shoulder down to your knee. On your next inhale, come back into our warrior one. Exhale to frame that front foot, kick that front foot back to meet the back. Downward facing dog. Rolling forward to plank, going through your vinyasa, or lowering your knees, chest and chin to the mat, inhaling for low cobra or upward facing dog. And exhaling to press back to down dog. On your next exhale, you can hop or step forward to a forward fold at the front of the mat. And when you're ready, we'll gently roll up to stand. To a nice mountain pose. Standing in your mountain pose at the front of the mat. Feeling all four corners of the feet rooted into the ground. You're going to lift the arms into the air. Come into your chair pose, whatever that means to you. If you'd like to come into a nice deep chair, you certainly can. If you'd like to bring your heels off the ground, you can. From here, let's bring the hands to heart center. And let's take the right elbow on the outside of the left knee and come to a chair pose twist. And then inhale back to your chair and exhale to the other side. Inhaling back to center, folding forward, plant your hands, step back, plank pose. Go through your vinyasa or lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhaling for a low cobra or upward facing dog. Pressing back to down dog. On your next inhale, we are going to lift the left leg in the air. How we're doing? Yes. Exhale, bring that foot forward. I am so sweaty. I'm losing my mind. All right, come back to the front of the mat. In your nice forward fold, give your hips a little shake here. You can't loosen anything up. We're going to inhale all the way up to standing pose. Whew. Start over. Put that on two sides. And that on two sides. Great. Okay. Standing in mountain pose at the front of the mat. Inhaling that arm up into the air. Urdhva Hastasana. Exhaling, folding forward, Utkatasana. Inhaling back to plank pose. Exhaling, drop your knees, chest, and chin to the mat. Inhaling for low cobra. And exhaling back to downward facing dog. All right. Yay, vinyasa. Okay. From here, we're going to lift the right leg into the air, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knees, swing that foot forward, help it if you need to. Rotate that back heel down. From here, we're going to rotate the arms up, so we're in a warrior two. Opening those hips out to the side of the mat. Front knee is at a right angle, arms are reaching in either direction. Feeling all four corners of both feet again. Feeling grounded. You're going to lift that palm up to the sky, reach forward, and then back to reverse your warrior. Make sure you're not dumping any weight in that back arm. Make sure your front leg is still bent. You're going to straighten out that front leg. Come forward and down for triangle pose. From here, we come back into warrior two. And then down into side angle pose. Reaching that opposite arm over top. You can get that leg a little bit more bent because you feel support with that arm. Go ahead and windmill those hands down. Kick that front leg back to meet the back. Downward facing dog. Rolling forward to plank pose. Go through your vinyasa or lower your knees. Chest and chin to the mat. Inhaling for a low cobra, upward facing dog. And exhaling back to down dog. On your next inhale, lift the left leg into the air for three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knees, swing the foot forward. Rotate that back heel down. Make a nice strong shape here, and then windmill your arms up for your warrior one. On your next inhale, we'll flip that palm up, forward, and then back to reverse your warrior. Straighten out that front leg, come forward and down for triangle pose. Bend that leg forward, come back into warrior two, and then down for side angle pose. Go ahead and frame that front foot. Kick your feet back to downward facing dog. Rolling forward to plank. Lowering your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhaling for a low cobra or an upward facing dog. Pressing back to down. On your next exhale, you can hop or step forward to a forward fold at the front of the mat. On your next inhale, you can gently roll up to stand, placing each vertebrae on top of the previous one. All right. Standing in mountain pose at the front of the mat. Pressing all four corners of the feet into the ground. Lifting the arms up in the air for Urdhva Hastasana. Exhaling into your chair pose. Few breaths in chair. And when you're ready, you can fold forward. Plant your hands and we'll step back to plank pose. Run through your vinyasa or lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhale for a low cobra, upward facing dog, and pressing back to downward dog. Breathing in down dog. On your next inhale, you can lift the right leg up for three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knees, swing that foot forward. Help it if you need to. Rotate that back heel down. Now windmill the arms up for warrior two. Warrior two. You're gonna bring that palm forward and then back. We're gonna come forward for triangle, and then down. Back into warrior two. And down for side angle pose. From here, we're gonna go ahead and windmill those arms down. And come into a wide-legged side angle, wide-legged forward fold, wide-legged forward fold. And walk those fingertips back behind you to give yourself a little bit more of a deep stretch. And you can walk those fingertips forward. Give yourself a nice flat back here. When you're ready, we'll heel toe the feet together so that you're in a nice wide squat. Or a regular squat. I can't do the wide squat. Whatever you want. Here, go ahead and place the hands on the mat, or the ground, excuse me. Placing one hand on the ground, we'll take that opposite hand into the air, reaching for the sky. And then bring that arm back down and reach the other guy out. And then bring that guy back down, pressing the bum back into space. Let's walk back to our mat. And let's find ourselves back to plank pose. From here, you can go through your vinyasa. You can lower your knees, chest and chin to the mat. Inhaling for low cobra, upward facing dog. And pressing back to a down dog. Lifting that left leg into the air, three-legged dog. Exhale, bending that knee, bringing that foot forward, helping if you need to. Rotating that back heel down. And windmilling the arms up for warrior two. Nice strong warrior two stance here. Coming forward and back to reverse your warrior. Straightening out that leg, coming down for triangle pose. Coming back up to warrior two. And then down to side angle pose. From here, you can rotate those hands down, frame that front foot, kick that front foot back to meet the back. Downward facing dog. Rolling forward to plank pose. And lower your knees. Chest and chin to the mat. Inhaling for a low cobra or upward facing dog. And pressing back to down dog. Deep breath in downward facing dog. On your next exhale, you can hop or step forward to a forward fold at the front of the mat. On your next inhale, we're going to gently roll up to stand. You're standing in a mountain pose at the front of the mat. We're going to go into balancing poses. If you'd like to come into tree, you certainly can. And take that heel, kickstand to your ankle, and place that foot against your calf. You can bring that heel into your inner thigh. Make sure your foot is not touching your knee. Hands can be, wow, Hands can be at heart center, can be on your hips, or they can be branches blowing in the breeze. When you're ready, you can remove that foot from your leg. Keep that knee bent, straighten it out in front of you. Lift that foot a little higher, maybe a little higher, maybe a little higher, and let it go. Give a massage to that outer muscle in your leg that was doing a very hard job. All the hard work, I guess. And then we'll switch to the other side. All four corners of that feet pressed into the mat and kickstand that ankle, foot to the ankle, foot against the calf, or heel to the inner thigh. Hands can be at heart center, on your waist, or branches blowing in the breeze. And when you're ready, you can remove that foot from your leg. Bring that knee forward, straighten out your leg, maybe a little higher, maybe a little higher, and then let it go. Something on the bottom of my feet. Okay. Shake out those legs. I'll massage that outer muscle over here. We'll come back into mountain pose at the front of the mat. Checking in with the bottom of the feet, checking in with distance between the feet. Checking in with the arms, checking in with the glutes and the jaw. Make sure you're not holding any tension anywhere. From here, we're going to lift the arms above the head and gently fold forward. Plant your hands and step back to your plank pose. Optional vinyasa here. You can lower your knees, chest, and chin if you'd like. Pressing up for a low cobra or upward facing dog. And pressing back to a down. On your next inhale, you can lift the right leg into the air, three-legged dog. Exhale, bend that knee, swing that shin forward, help it if you need to. And just set yourself up for pigeon pose. Get a nice straight leg right behind you. Your hip can be in line with this heel. Lifting your chest into the air and folding forward for pigeon pose. On your next inhale, you can lift your head, neck, and chest off the mat. Wiggle yourself around so you're in a tabletop pose. Give your hips a little shake out here, and then press back to downward facing dog. Then we'll lift the left leg into the air, three-legged dog. Bend that knee, swing that shin forward, help it if you need to. Make a nice straight line back behind you. And get your hip and heel in line, lifting that head, neck, and chest into the air, and then folding forward and melting down the mat. your next inhale, you lift your head, neck, and chest into the air. Wiggle your leg around so you can come back into your tabletop pose. And then we'll just gently lower onto the mat. Roll onto your back. We'll do some windshield wipers with your legs, as deep or shallowly as you'd like. And then let's hug those knees into the chest, nice and tight, and do a nice little round back and forth if you can. From here, we're going to do a gentle inversion. So if you have a block, you can place it under your sacrum and lift your legs in the air. You can just lift your legs in the air. You can do a supported shoulder stand and kind of lift your whole body up, supporting your back with your hands. You can do legs up the wall. You can do any sort of gentle inversion you'd like. Take a couple of breaths with your feet above your head. When you're ready, you can gently come back down. Give those knees a windshield wiper back and forth again. This time you can place your feet about hips width distance apart and your heels, so you can just about graze them with your fingertips. And when you're ready, you're gonna tuck that tailbone under and lift your pelvis into the air and get ready for your tape, for your bridges. Breathing here, you can bring those shoulder blades beneath you. You can interlace your hands behind your back. Just a few deep breaths here. And release your hands, release your shoulder blades, release your spine back down to the mat. And windshield wiper out those legs back and forth. And when you're ready, you can tuck that tailbone under and lift the hips into the air for bridge pose. You can move your shoulder blades beneath you. You can interlace your hands back behind your back if you'd like. And take 3 to 5 good breaths here. Release your hands, release your shoulder blades, release your spine back down to the mat. And windshield wiper out your knees again. And when you're ready, you can tilt that tailbone forward and lift your hips into the air for your final bridge pose. Shoulder blades can tuck in, hands can interlace behind your back. And take 3 to 5 good breaths here. Release your hands, release your spine back to the mat. Windshield wiper those knees back and forth. This time we're gonna leave the left leg on the mat. We'll take the right ankle to the left knee, and then we'll lift the leg up. Make sure you've got a nice 90-degree angle in your knee here. You're gonna press that right elbow or knee away from you with your elbow, and you can interlace your legs back behind your back. Pulling that thigh forward. See if you can make a circle with your left knee, like you're drawing a circle on the ceiling with your knee. You can go in both directions. And then when you're ready, really pull that knee towards you and see if you can't find a spot that's maybe a little bit more sore or stuck that you can send your breath to. And if you're not finding it, you can gently rock back and forth. You might find something deep in your hip. When you're ready, you can release your hands from your leg. You can switch the crossing of your legs and bring the other knee up into the air and release your hands behind your thigh and press that knee away from you with your elbow. From here, you can rock back and forth and see if you can find some place that's a bit more sore, stuck, maybe deep in your hips that you can get a little bit more stretch into, a little bit more space into, a little bit more breath into. And one side might be a little easier to find than the other. And then when you're ready, we'll drop both feet back onto the mat. We'll windshield wiper out those knees. Perfect. All right. When you're ready, we'll hug those knees into the chest nice and tight. Take the left leg straight up in the air, flex that foot, point the toe, flex the foot, point the toe, flex the foot, point the toe, and then gently bring it down to the mat. Holding this right leg here, grab onto your ankle and hold it like a baby. Take your same hand as bent leg. You can reach for your foot, your ankle, your calf, your leg, your knee, but just bring the leg out to the side. It can remain bent or it can remain open. Hips are both on the mat here. And then pass that leg over to the other hand. Maybe the hip comes off the mat this time. And then back to the center. Hold that knee in nice and tight. This time we'll bring the other leg up to join it. And then drop that first leg back down. Lift him up and flex the foot, point the toe, flex the foot, point the toe, flex the foot, point the toe, flex the foot, point the toe. And when you're pointing the toe, just bring that leg down and relax it away. You can grab the bottom of your foot, like you're holding a baby if you'd like, or just grab your ankle over top. Plugging that knee into the chest nice and tight. We're going to take the same hand as bent leg. You can hold your foot, your ankle, your calf, whatever you'd like. We're just going to lift it out to the side. You can remain bent or straight, whatever you like, but both of your hips should remain on the mat. You can pass that leg over to the opposite hand. Maybe this time your hip comes up as your foot goes across your body. Maybe you feel an opening in the back of the hips here and the glutes. And then we can pass the leg over. Come back to center, bring both legs in here, hug them in nice and tight. And we're just going to drop to one side for a gentle twist. Your hands can be cartoon cactus hands. You can have them out in a T. You can have one hand over your knee. Your gaze can be to the ceiling or over your opposite knee. On your next inhale, you can bring both knees into your chest again and exhale them down to the other side. Again, your hands can be in cartoon cactus. Cartoon cactus arms, you can have them outstretched. You can have one hand on your knees. Your gaze can be towards the ceiling or towards the opposite arm. On your next inhale, come back to center. Hug those knees into your chest, nice and tight. We're gonna reach for the interiors of the feet and come into a happy baby, whatever that means to you. You can rock back and forth. You can try to bring your sit bones towards the mat. You can try to bring your knees into your armpits. Work on stretching one leg out at a time, whatever you like. Or maybe just enjoy this time to relax. When you've had enough of that, you can release your feet from your hands and come into your final resting pose. You begin to bring your awareness back to your breath. Make small movements in your fingers and toes. Then when you're ready, you roll onto one side using your arm as a pillow and into the fetal position. You can use that same slow quality of motion to come into a comfortable seat. We're going to close the class with one Om. Bring your hands to heart center. Before we inhale for Om, go ahead. Thank yourself for coming to yoga and doing something for you. Inhaling for Om. Om. Namaste.